In this lecture, we have created function getAllFounders in order to retrieve all of the founders from storage. And also I showed you that getters are automatically created for your storage variables. So when you have a public founders method is created, and whenever you will provide an index in the method of the item, you will retrieve your founder. In this lecture, I would like to show you the difference between external and public. So let's start. So all these functions here you see, advanced and getAllFounders, we could also mark as the public functions, and then nothing would change. All right, from the outsider perspective, nothing would change. We would be still able to call functions advanced and also getAllFounders when they are public and external. They are actually very similar, public and external, but there is one huge difference. Let's keep it as external as we had it before, and let's try to create our own function to get a founder at some specific index. Okay, so we'll create here our function that will be responsible for getting founder at specific index. I know we already have it when we have this getter of the founders, but create our own one. Okay, so let's create our function, and let's write here get founder at index, get founder at index. We will specify here integer of the index. So let's write here, let's say this integer will be just positive ones, and I don't need to specify here 256 bits integers. Let's specify much smaller ones. Let's say uint 8. All right, on 8 bits. Okay, so uint 8 is enough. Let's specify here index of a item we would like to retrieve. That will be the index of the founder. Okay, then public view. Well, let's make it as external. Why public? Let's make everything as external so I can show you the differences. External view. Okay, returns, and we will be returning here a single address. Okay. Like this, you can see when I'm specifying here only single address type, I don't need to specify here memory as with the array. Okay. So get founder at index, and now let's get here all of the founders. For this we'll use this function here, getAllFounders. Okay, so I'll write here, let's write here address, array, and memory. Okay, so because we're specifying here memory, whenever we have using the arrays, we need to specify here where this data should be stored in a memory, right? And let's write here underscore, let's call this variable founders. So I'm creating here variable founders, and I will be storing here the result of a function getAllFounders. So let's call it like this. Okay. And you will notice one thing here. We'll get here error. getAllFounders cannot be called. Okay. Undeclared identifier getAllFounders is not yet visible at this point. This means whenever you have here this accessor of external, you cannot call your functions from inside of the smart contract. Okay, I cannot access now getAllFounders because it's marked as the external, but when I will mark it as a public, this function will be now accessible. You can see here, now it's accessible. I have here a couple of warnings now because we are not using these parameters, unused function parameter. Okay, don't worry about this right now. Okay, but I can call here now getAllFounders. Okay, so now this is publicly accessible also within smart contract and also outside. So I will be able to use everything outside of the smart contract as I did before. Okay, so that's a bigger difference between external and public, and also there are some differences in the gas consumption. So generally, what's a good practice? You should use external for the functions that you're expecting to only call from outside, and the public ones for the function that you are also expecting to call inside of your smart contract, not only from outside of the smart contract. So in this case, we are using getAllFounders inside of a smart contract, so it makes sense to mark this function as a public one. Okay, when I will move it back to external and we'll get these errors before, I can still be able to call this function. I can use here this keyword, and I can call here getAllFounders, and now I will be even able to call it with the external, but there will be higher gas consumption, so your functions on the blockchain will cost more, basically more gas. So yeah, let's stay with this pattern. Let's use here public when we are expecting to call the functions from inside, and external when we are only expecting to call the functions from outside. And now we want to return this single single funders. So let's write here return. Let's write here underscore funders because funders holding all of the funders. Funders at the index. We are passing in a function like this, and that's basically it. All right, so this function can be marked as external because we are expecting to call it only from outside. This one is marked as a public because we are also using it inside of this function here. Let's save it now, guys. You know the drill now. We need to recompile everything. So we need to remigrate everything. Now we need to send again we need to send to transactions to add some funds. So maybe you want to copy this line somewhere next to your smart contract. So write your const instance await faucet deployed. All right. Oh, I'm not writing here anything, right? I should be going to Truffle console. My mistake. Truffle console, and I will copy this line already somewhere next here, and also function to add funds. So instance dot add funds, and let's write here from accounts at the index of 0, and the value will be, let's say 2, doesn't really matter. Okay, and I can just copy this now. I'll be pasting these instructions here. So create a contract. Now add funds. Okay, let's add funds again from accounts 1. All right, perfect. And now let's get funder the index. So get funder at index of 0. And yeah, it's working. Get funder at index of 1 and get funders. Oops, how we are calling it? Get all funders. Okay, so get all funders will get me everything. All right, perfect. It's working. We can get also single funder with our own function. Now you know the difference between public and the external. Let's continue in the next lecture. Cheers.